David Stafford, the Pensacola City Administrator, standing in today for our mayor, who is on his way to our nation's capital for a meeting of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. While he is in D.C., he is already set up meeting with federal officials from a variety of different agencies: EPA, HUD, Department of Commerce, FAA, and others, advocate on behalf of projects, priorities for the city of Pensacola. He will be back in town next week. The big event tomorrow in McCulloch County, just south of Tallahassee, is the Triumph Board meeting, which will, at that meeting, we'll consider the application for Project Mave that you've heard a lot about, which is two boat building facilities at the Port of Pensacola. The ask for the application is for $76 million Triumph funds for an overall another $199 in other sources of funding, which would create a $275 million, did I say thousand million? $275 million project there on the Port of Pensacola. Would create 2,000 jobs as described. It would, I believe, that would become the second largest employer headquartered within the city of Pensacola. Over 1,400 jobs at an average of $68,000 annually, and 563 at an average of $112,000. Big news recently is this week there were a published rating by the economist that was employed by Triumph, Dr. Rick Harper, and the project received an A rating. So we have a team, including myself, going over to McCulloch County tomorrow to be present for the meetings, but we're very encouraged and hopeful. A little update on the police chief selection. As you all know, that we had those three candidates that were went through the process here, and the mayor's been weighing, which is a very weighty, difficult decision. Probably, as he has said, probably one of the most important and consequential of his term. So he's taking his time. He's got two highly qualified candidates that with chief of police experience from outside the area, and the current acting deputy chief of the department. He's been receiving a lot of input from a wide range of community members, some of which participated in some community meetings. Others watched interviews online, so he's been, as you can imagine, getting a lot of input from a wide range of folks on that. As I said, he's in Washington this week, but I fully expect that you will see an announcement next week, early part of next week, when he returns to Pensacola. And also, while we're on the subject of the City of Pensacola Police Department, we'd all like to acknowledge the retirement of Deputy Chief Kevin Christman, who served 28 years in the department and just retired at the end of last week. So we certainly thank Deputy Chief Christman for his many years of dedicated service to the citizens of the city of Pensacola. Little update on housing. The housing grant, as was discussed at the last city council meeting, we were told by Florida Commerce some time ago that there was a quote 0.0 chance for any kind of extensions. So that's how we were operating. And because of that, at their suggestion, we started looking at other CDBG-DR projects to reallocate those funds to existing DR projects. Since that time, the mayor's been working diligently, pounding the pavement, working the phones, not taking no for an answer. Talked directly to the Florida Secretary of Commerce, his senior leaders. And as I mentioned, he's going to be speaking to HUD officials this week during his trip to Washington to see if there's any path forward that would allow us to spend at least some of those disaster recovery funds on housing. It's unlikely, we think, that it would be all of the 5.8 million, but we're going to see if what we can do, what the path forward might be. And as I said, in addition to the meeting with HUD officials, there's also going to be a meeting with EPA officials on the American Creosote Works ECW meetings. Reimagine Palafox. So if y'all will indulge me for a second, I'm going to bring up Adrian to talk a little bit about, just give you an update on the Reimagine Palafox project, and then I'll be back with some additional items.
Thank you. So Reimagine Palafox, or the new Palafox, it goes by several different names, is in week 4 of construction. We are on schedule. Demolition is essentially complete, and we are still working to have those ECUA water lines and water mains replaced, and also all the stormwater infrastructure is going in. ECUA is doing some switchovers of service. They are the responsible entity for notifying business owners, but with the city's resources, we do have our public engagement coordinator, Marcy Lowe, who is out there 5 days a week, walking up and down, making sure business owners are doing well, that they're providing any feedback. We're making adjustments as we can. So construction is proceeding well on schedule. We're still looking at a May 24th completion date for the incentivized bonus.
Thanks. Should be around for questions if you all have any on that project, but we're encouraged by the progress that's been made thus far. Alice Williams Library update. So as you all, I think, have known, there's $1.2 million in renovations that are nearing completion at the historic Alice S. Williams Library on E Street. And that makes a significant milestone in returning this long vacant building to active community use. Among the improvements were exterior improvements, including site work, walkways, and accessibility upgrades. And they're largely complete. Interior renovations are in their final stages, with systems and finishes all coming together. The project preserves the building's historic character while modernizing it to meet safety and operational standards. We anticipate finalizing the Childcare operator bid in the coming months. Once that's complete, staff will move towards opening the facility and welcoming children ages birth to 1 in their families. That's the age category. The project's an investment in the neighborhood. It expands our childcare capacity, and we certainly hope to honor the legacy of Alice Williams, who started the first night school for African Americans in her home and became an assistant principal at Washington High School in 1940. Little update. I know there was a story this morning about the Cobb Center feeding program. Just like to put a couple of things out there. Number one, all seniors who previously received meals at Cobb Center through the Council on Aging dining program continue to receive meals 5 days a week. Some from the Council on Aging at other locations, and some at Cobb Center through a variety of alternative dining options. We're actively exploring appropriate permanent senior nutrition program options, including possibility of resumption of COA's programming at that location. In addition, city staff with help of volunteers are providing, preparing, and serving food so that every senior who needs a meal at Cobb has one. Now, the city has tried not to air personnel issues publicly. Unfortunately, it's not been handled the same way by the folks at Council on Aging. It's important to note that the folks at Council on Aging have been given numerous opportunities to provide written statements describing specific incidents, including information about those incidents, witnesses, etc. so we can conduct a proper investigation if one is warranted. To date, it's been indicated to us that no actionable documentation has been received. So we can't just discipline, relocate, or terminate a city employee or a contract employee without specific allegations that we are able to substantiate. So the assertion that this is simply an issue of a hostile city employee is not, that's not correct. There are more deeper issues that need to be looked into by both parties. State of the City Civicon event. The annual State of the City address is scheduled for 6 to 7:30 on February 5th. New location this time, Bayview Community Center. There's a partnership with Civicon that reflects our commitment to open dialogue with residents. The event is free, open to the public, and will be live streamed on the Pensacola News Journal's Facebook page. And one more item, and then I'm happy to take any questions, and that is the Mayor's Neighborhood Cleanup, the first one in calendar 2026. And it's this weekend. District 6 residents should have their items curbside by 7 a.m. on January 31st. That cleanup includes bulk items only, no yard waste or garbage. You can put out household appliances and electronics, carpeting, furniture, mattresses, bikes, toys, tires, old paint cans, and barbecue grills, but no propane tanks. And as an aside to that, recycling, we just got updated recycling numbers, curbside recycling, up to 4,268 rolled as of yesterday. And that is all that I have for now. I'm happy to take a couple of questions, and we have some staff here. I may defer to them.
On the Cobb Center situation, can you give us a status of that staff member? I mean, nothing's changed on their employment, and what is your reaction to hearing the Council on Aging? I mean, speaking out.
I think I already addressed our reaction to it. Is that we try not to air personnel issues. That staff member who works for us is still employed there. We're trying to resolve the issue. We have been with Council on Aging. We're hopeful that we can come to some resolution, but we're addressing it within the manner that we thought was appropriate.
Follow up on that. I guess the city has a contract with Council on Aging, where through a CBDG.
CDBG grant.
Yeah,
that's correct.
Is that the Cobb Center listed as a location under that contract? Is that reimbursement? Like, if are they being paid right now to provide meals at the Cobb Center that they're not providing, or?
I have to get you. I can get you an answer real quick on that. I don't have that information right here readily available.
On the Triumph grant, can you talk more about Dr. Harper's efforts? What does that rating mean? What did he do to?
He's the one. He performed the analysis. It's an application score sheet. I can get you a copy.
Well, yeah, I'll ask him too more of that, not to throw you in the spot.
Yeah.
I guess more why the city would go through the efforts. Why Dr. Harper?
Well, no, they do that on behalf
of Triumph.
That's Triumph.
Gotcha. Okay.
Triumph analysis. They basically look at it. So the bottom line is that it's scored an A. Just to kind of give you the return on investment, top line here, $33.60 of additional household income for every Triumph dollar expended. So obviously the Triumph the grant process is very lengthy, very data heavy. There's a lot of information, including salaries and numbers of jobs that are required as part of the application process. So that's their effort to do an analysis prior to the board meeting, which will happen again tomorrow.
And if the grant is approved tomorrow, is that it's been a while since I've looked at the trying process, is that enter like negotiations between the
Correct.
city and then they'll come back with a final one?
I think that the terminology is, as I understand, it's term sheet. They moved to negotiate a term sheet on that. So big step tomorrow, but that's certainly not the end of the road. Big sort of first hurdle. And I believe my understanding is that $76 million, if awarded, would be the third, perhaps the third largest award in the history of Triumph.
Do you know if it is approved, what the timeline on that would be, as far as like how far are we away from actually seeing this come to Pensacola?
I can just give you some numbers here in that analysis. Showed $20 million programmed in 2026, $30 million in 2027, $26 million in 2028 as the construction progresses. So that indicates to me that there would at least be some activity this year.
On Reimagine Palafox, Adrian, has there been any surprises? Has anything stuck out to you, or from the business side, from the business owner standpoint, or from the construction side? Has there been anything that you guys didn't expect?
We have not had any unforeseen surprises. From an archaeology standpoint, we do have people out there monitoring. We haven't found anything of note. I know a lot of people saw the old trolley rails and things like that, but it's really just the older infrastructure and the different road surfaces. But I will give credit to some of the business owners who've been very creative with their social media content. We've seen some AI generated treasure chests being found and things like that, but nothing of note from that perspective. And in talking with the business owners and trying to keep in constant communication, we've heard essentially positive feedback. A lot of people are so interested in the project, they're coming down, they're observing, and they're stopping in and getting a cup of coffee or getting lunch. So things seem to be trending as they do. It's a little cold, so that's probably limiting some of the visitation. But overall, all the feedback's positive.
Adrian, won't we start seeing some hardscape start to go in soon?
We will. So we get weekly updates on schedule and where everybody's at. So we will start to see a little bit more curb work happening and some more hardscaping as they move from north and south and move inward.
One of the other interesting things about that, I'm sure you've seen if you've been down there, they actually created gaps in the kind of the signage along the fence line, and there was concern after started putting up the signage that they were going to block people's views. People were enthralled and actually watching the construction. So if you get out there, you notice now they deliberately put left gaps between the signage so people can view the work that's going on. Some cute pictures I've just seen on Instagram with some children, their heads up, their faces up against the fence, looking at the work. John?
Yeah, Pensacola Motor Lodge. Where are we on that now? The city had an RFI out. The mayor told us they had some expressions of interest, but then that interest went away. What's the next step here for the Pensacola Motor? It's a pretty good investment.
It is. I'm going to actually have to get, if I can get to you offline, I don't have the answer to me right at my fingertips right now, but I can get it to you.
It seems likely that the federal government is set for a shutdown in the next week, and I guess is the city looking at it as well as like preparing for that? I know the airport is kind of dependent on TSA to operate. So have y'all had any discussions about that?
No, not to my knowledge. Is the director of the airport, Matt? We were on a call actually this morning. They managed it last time very well. I know he had very good things to say about both the FAA and the TSA personnel working through that. My understanding in talking, we're actually on a call with one of our Washington representatives this morning, and it sounded like if anything, it would be somewhat of a short-term, potentially short-term shutdown, but trying to predict that as it could be a fool's errand. So. I have all the confidence in the world in Matt and his team out there to make sure that operations continue at the airport. But beyond that, we haven't had big discussions on what local impacts that but as we head towards that, obviously we have things like the National Seashore and things like that. But as far as critical, like the airport, my assumption is that it would continue full force like they did during the last shutdown.
One last thing for me on the PPD chief
Yes.
search. We've heard that facility improvements have been discussed. Where does the city stand on that? Is that seem to be a big concern in bringing in a new chief and improving resources, facilities, things like that?
I mean, whoever the next chief is, whether it's facilities upgrades are of vital importance. Of course, that would be something that we've already started looking at ways to. They've already made some improvements. For instance, we have a new boiler that's going in at the police station here within the next week or two. I know they've done some construction on the inside of my predecessor, I knew Captain Kinsella. When he was here, he worked with the PPD to start moving towards some additional investments in the headquarters. So I know that's going to be a priority for the next chief, whoever that is. Anything else? All right, thank you.